All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining the webinar today. As you may be aware, we do these webinars once a month, the second Thursday of every month for Edge customers. You know, it's our service for the jewelry space and for Edge customers to be able to provide, you know, valuable insights as far as things that we've uncovered and, you know, things that are providing success for jewelry stores. So, you know, we enjoyed doing this. We have some great guests on today. Usually it's just me, so it's nice being alone again. So we've got Rachel Hanna. She's a digital marketing and e-commerce expert. She built and led digital teams at Rolex and Tudor for 6 years. We've got Kyle Morris. He's Gemfine's digital marketing manager. Brings extensive experience in PPC, SEO, and social media. Recently, Kyle gained approximately 18,000 followers in TikTok in just 6 months. Christy Herring, digital marketing account manager at Gemfine. She actually worked for a jewelry store, one of our clients, and so she brings nearly a decade of experience working in the jewelry industry. She's highly skilled in social media and email marketing. So great to have everyone on today. We're going to be going through social media strategies for jewelers. Some of the topics we're going to cover today is why is social media so important, cracking the social media code, content creation checklist, jewelry industry examples, trends, and inspiration that we'll get some insights from Kyle on, Facebook ad funnel, which I'll talk about a little bit, keys to success on social media, and we can open it up for a Q&A session towards the end. If you're not aware of Gemfine already or familiar with us, we've been in the industry for over 20 years, actually since 99, so coming on 24 years already. We specialize in all things digital marketing, technology, you know, building. We're a Shopify partner. We really have created a digital marketing solution that provides results, and we really want to duplicate that for all of our clients. We also have tools like a Diamond Link, a Ring Builder, Jewel Cloud, all these different apps that help make your website more engaging. So we'll go ahead and start getting into some of the slides, and I'm going to have Rachel take over from here. Let me go ahead and pass the screen over to you, Rachel. Let's see here. Okay. Let me know if you get the...
Yes, here we go. Let me just make sure the right screen is up. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Let me just get into slideshow mode, and then we can get started. So yeah, thanks, Anthony, for the introduction. I'm going to take you guys through kind of just setting the stage for the webinar today, talking about why social media is so important. I think everyone knows its importance, and it has been important for many years, but I think that importance continues to grow. And it continues to impact the way we market our brands, our businesses, and our strategy. So wanted to just kind of bring you some updated stats, some updated metrics, and really some updated information on how consumers are using social media to discover brands. So why is social media so important? And really the main reason for businesses like yours is that it has really transformed how consumers are shopping. So what once was, you know, an in-store experience or maybe even discovery on websites or ads only, social media has really started to play an integral role of consumer shopping, you know, when they are shopping for new products. And it's really playing the role of a digital storefront. So it's a way for you to show clients what your business is about through a different channel and connect directly with new customers. So it is, you know, really exciting that there is this new channel. Oops, sorry. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong spot on the screen. Oops. Sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. And so, you know, talking a bit more about that discovery, so 52% of consumers who are using social media are using it to discover new brands. And a lot of that new discovery is done on some of the platforms that we're talking about today, such as TikTok and Instagram, so more of the visual platforms. And then, the key part here as well is that consumers are really taking action once they discover a brand or a product on social media. 48% of social media users have bought something after seeing an ad on social media, and 68% of consumers have purchased directly from social media. So not only are consumers discovering new brands and products on social media, now all of these social channels that we're seeing have shopping integrations directly on the platform, making that experience from discovery to browsing to purchasing seamless. And so we can see that with the shift of consumer behavior, social platforms are also aiding that behavior in terms of all the shopping integrations that have, continued to be optimized and developed. So what does that mean for your business? So really the key here is that with all social media strategies, it's a huge opportunity, but it's really something that is ever evolving. It's really, crucial for you to have a deliberate strategy on social media to maintain relevance and growth. And so you really, with the evolution of all these social media platforms, you have to evolve your strategy with that to remain successful on social media. And so that's kind of why, sometimes social media can feel like a never-ending cycle of kind of evolution, and it is. But the really good news is that it's a really powerful tool. So all the effort that you're going to be putting into a social media strategy, will lead you to directly to new audiences that you'll be able to tap, from a marketing and sales perspective. But the tricky part, as I mentioned, is that social media is always evolving, and posting several times a week is no longer enough to really ensure growth and success on social media. So you'll hear me say this a few times, but social media is really not just set it and forget it. It has to evolve with your business and with the social platforms, and really with your customer and their behaviors on these platforms. And so the next section we're going to get into is to help kind of shape customer behavior and these social platforms, and how you can really think about that through the lens of your strategy. And so that's why we call this cracking the social media code. So I think sometimes it really can feel like a secret code, and you're not sure what the secret sauce is for success. And so I think that there are a lot of factors that, there are a lot of factors that contribute to a successful social media strategy, and really that varies by business, by category. But what we tried to do in this webinar is really distill down some of the keys to success, basically, into three main categories that we think if you're kind of meeting best practices in these areas, you will have success on social media. And so the first one is really kind of the baseline, the base level of what you should be doing on social media is really consistent posting. So we'll talk about why that's important and kind of what you can do to get into a consistent rhythm there. The next is community management. So how can you really create a two-way street on social media, not just kind of blasting out advertisements, but really creating a community and responding and engaging your consumers and your viewers. And then the last and arguably the most important piece is engaging content. So we want to make sure that the content that we're putting out there is really adding value to our viewers, and really, in turn, it's engaging. Alrighty, so the first kind of key to success here is consistency. And so you may ask, why is consistency so important? And there are a few reasons. The most basic one is really has to do with the social media algorithm. And that is basically that Instagram, TikTok, all of these platforms favor accounts that are posting more consistently. So if you have a consistent posting schedule, it is more likely that your followers will see your content, and your content will therefore be more discoverable to new audiences. And so that, not only does that feed the social media algorithm, but it's also kind of a little bit of common sense that the more often and consistent you're posting, the more likely your audience will see your posts. And so while posting daily is the best practice, and that really brings the highest levels of engagement, I think the key here and the takeaway here is to really find something, a cadence that works for you and your business, and stick to that, and really have an organized approach and plan to how to meet that cadence, whether that's 3 times a week, 4 times a week, or ideally daily. Creating a plan to post at the same time every day and the same days every week will ensure that you're delivering consistent and high quality content to your audience. Alrighty, so the next point here is having to do with timing. So not only is it important to kind of pick a certain day and a certain number of days a week to post, but you really want to find that optimal time for engagement. This also does vary by every business, every industry, but the good news is that there are actually tools that you can use to figure out when your content will be the most engaging. And really the reason why this is important is because the social media feed has kind of endless amounts of new content appearing in users' feeds every minute, and it's really easy for content to get lost in the shuffle. So if your audience is active at 11 a.m. and you're posting at 8 o'clock at night, it's very likely that they may never see your post, and therefore your post will not be engaged with. And so that kind of starts a vicious cycle, because if the post is not engaged with, and the less discoverable your content is to new people because of the way the social media algorithm works. So really the key to tackling this problem, if you will, is to figure out when your followers are most likely to engage with your post. So you can kind of do this an old-fashioned way in terms of testing and learning, starting with 11 a.m., seeing how much engagement you get there, testing 12 p.m., etc. Or you can do some research online to determine when your target demographic is most active on social media, and start there and kind of tweak until you see the optimal level of engagement. Alrighty, so the next point here that we'll talk about is engagement on social media. Sorry, I keep clicking on the page by accident. And so the key takeaway here is that really social media is not just a one-way street. It's really not a platform for you to just push out content, hope your audience sees it, and then kind of move on to the next post. The goal of social media is it's a social platform. It's meant to feed into that social nature. So there should be a back and forth with your audience, your community, and the more that you engage with your audience, the more you engage with like accounts, the more you respond, and also encourage your audience to engage, the better your content will perform and the more discoverable it will be. And so really what we want to do here is make it a best practice, make it a part of our process to ask people to engage with your post. Say, hit like if you would like to gift this to someone, or if you would love to wear this piece. Respond below with your suggestions. And then also when people do respond, making sure that you're engaging with them back and starting a conversation and really creating some excitement around your content and your posts. The same goes for DMs, making sure that you're accessible to your potential buyers, answering any questions. It really is another sales channel. And so making sure you're engaging with your audience and you have a process in place to communicate with them in a timely manner is super important. Alrighty. Christy, is this, you're starting here, right? I'm gonna pass it over to you. One second, guys. I'm gonna pass it over to Christy to take you through the rest of these slides.
Oh, I'm presenting here, okay.
Or I can keep my page up, so just go ahead. Just let me know when you want to go to the next slide.
Yep, perfect, okay. So the next point that we want to talk about is sharing engaging content. So two main things that are takeaways for this is that the content should be useful and it should catch the eye. Obviously, as you're surfing on social media, you're not looking to be marketed to. So the point of being on social media, what you're going to is you're trying to provide value to your followers, and people are going to engage with you more and follow you more the more you have created value if you're a trusted voice in the space. So that is something that's definitely the main thing that people are looking for. They're looking for unique content that stands out from other accounts. Go ahead, Rachel, thank you. So when you're sharing content on social media, you want to ask yourself a couple of things. You want to ask, does this educate? Does it entertain? Does it inspire? And does it inform? So those are some things that you definitely want to incorporate into your content creation. And then once you do that, as you're putting your content out, you want to see what resonates with your audience. You want to see what are they engaging with the most, and kind of trend towards what they're engaging with, and what you think, what you're seeing is getting the most following and engagement and interaction. What types of Instagram content are they're engaging with the most? A quick Instagram audit can help with this. You want to get inspirations from other posts on the Explore page. Look at what types of content usually make it to the Explore page. And you just want to make sure that they're engaging with your content and that you're providing value. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. Go ahead, Rachel. So you definitely want to keep things fresh. You want to try new formats of posting. You want to keep, you don't want to continually post the same content. If you're going on social media and you see the same things going out, you're likely to get bored. You're not going to follow. You're going to disengage. You're going to unfollow that account. So switching up the formats to include different types of content. Videos are definitely hot right now. So that's, and that's just going to continue to grow. You want to have interactive content, so you can have carousels, infographics. Really, also, it's a good opportunity to share the images, not just images, but the people behind your business. So it's an opportunity to share employee spotlights. Reels also keep the feed diversified. They're very different from stories, whereas you can put a story out and it's going to go away in 24 hours. A reel is something similar to a story that you can put out, but it's going to stay in your feed. So then they can also go back and look at that content if, you know, when you're creating content that's educational to them, they can go back and look at that. So you want to keep it fresh. You want to keep an eye on content that's trending and leverage it for your own strategy. Pay attention to new content formats, lean towards the latest trends. As the trends change, the algorithms tend to show and get the most audience views of the latest trends. So you definitely want to keep up with current trends. And when a new platform comes out, when Reels came out, that was the hot thing. You want to follow and you want to be posting Reels, similar to when Stories came out. And so whatever the next latest and greatest, you want to be engaging with that type of content because the algorithms lean towards that type of audience views. You get more views the more you're using what's being put out by the different platforms. Next slide, please. So speaking of Reels, what a Reel is it's similar to a story, but like I said, it's something that doesn't disappear within 24 hours. It can be up to 90 seconds long. I actually think it might even be a little longer currently, but Reels, they stitch together different clips, and you have editing features. You can add voiceover, you can add different audio in the background, and it's just basically a little story that goes out as content, and it's a really good opportunity to create something that's engaging but educational as well. You can add text, and so it's really like a storytelling format. You can story in a little 90-second video, and it's really a good opportunity to gain good value. You're creating value for the followers. So next slide, please. And then TikToks, obviously we know that during the pandemic that became super popular, but they're eye-catching videos that they really don't need a lot of, I mean, you definitely want to put thought into them, but they're really good that you can clip together a bunch of little clips. You can put together a little video, and with some text and some fun music in the background, it's really a visual platform, but it's really just kind of it's light sharing. So it's not something that's super, I don't know what the word is, but you don't want to, they're just little videos that you can put out there, and they're just authentic content to who you are as a brand. And you can have voiceovers, trendy music. and they're engaging for users, they're profitable for businesses, and so you can also share it on different platforms as well. Once you create a TikTok video, you can also share it across different platforms. So that's kind of a fun thing that you can use, that you can cross-pollinate amongst your different platforms as well. Next slide.
Sorry.
No, yeah, you're good. So at the end of it, so what's the takeaway for you? So you want to create a plan to post. Obviously, as Rachel said, you want to be consistent. So you don't want to set a goal of whatever that looks like for you, however many days or times per week, and be consistent with it and follow through with it. You want to create, ask yourself, is the content, is it eye-catching? Is it useful? Are you creating value? Are you a trusted voice? Before posting it. You don't just want to post just for the sake of posting. It really wastes your time. It wastes the followers' time, and you lose followers that way. So you really want to be thoughtful in what you're putting out there. And then, as Rachel said, you want to perfect your timing. You want to get the optimal engagement. So again, that's just it's not a set it and forget it. As she said, you definitely want to look at where your followers, where they're engaging with your content. And then you want to keep your feed fresh, try new formats, definitely latest and greatest releases with whatever format. Again, you want to be using those. And then you want to lean into social media trends, lean into using those platforms. You can cross-pollinate amongst the platforms and test and learn. It's not like once you set your plan and you leave it alone. You have to constantly, it's evolving, it's ever changing. You definitely don't, you have to keep evolving with the platform in order to stay relevant. So.
Great, thank you, Christy. I'm gonna pass it over to Kyle, who's going to take us through some trends and examples.
Awesome. All right, let me pull on up in full screen here so you can see it. Just give me 1 sec. I'm trying to pull it up. Where'd my slide go? There we go. All right. All right, so we're going to go over creating content, and I'll show you guys how you guys can go ahead and create content easily that actually will engage with users. This is kind of piggybacking off of what Christy was saying earlier. Of you don't want to just post stuff just to post it. You actually need some sort of eye-catching and engaging content. It's really not that hard to create once you know what you're trying to do. It does take a little bit of learning at the beginning, but like I tell everyone, is the first stuff you're always going to create on social media is going to be the worst. It's only going to get better from there. So don't worry about it too much right at the beginning if everything isn't perfect, because you will improve and really, get the hang of it pretty quick. So the first thing to look at is 3 steps to the perfect social media setup. So one is always to have good lighting in all your photos, all your videos, all that type of stuff. Because if the video is too dark, people just aren't going to engage with it. It's too hard to see. They're just going to scroll on to the next thing. So with that being said, I mean, you can use, lights if you have them, but really the easiest way is just to use natural light. I mean, you can just go next to a window, go outside somewhere that the lighting just looks nice. You don't have to buy all this expensive gear or anything like that. You can just work with what you got. When it comes to staging, just make sure things are like uncluttered. I mean, you don't want to see a bunch of random stuff in the background. You just want it to be nice, simple, and easy for the person to know what that photo or video is of. A couple things you can do is, if you're doing photos specifically, I mean, you can even do this with videos, but, show rings, show bracelets, any of that type of stuff, hands and wrists, so that people can get an idea of the sizes of these rings. It also makes it feel a little bit more real, because when you do just have kind of those, cat images that vendors are posting, they're not really that real. It's hard to tell how big they are, what the actual color is, and things like that. So people do like seeing those on an actual hand. It doesn't have to be a model or anything. Your hands don't have to be you don't have to be a hand model to do it. You can just, show a quick little thing on your hand there. And that's usually good enough. Some other things as well, like I was mentioning, you don't need a lot of equipment. Just start off with your iPhone. iPhones are easily good enough to shoot all the content you need at this point. If you get really into it and you really like doing it and just kind of want to take it to the next level, sure, you can go buy a DSLR, spend a couple $100, buy some lights and that type of stuff. But it's really not needed. That's just kind of a little bonus if you want to dig a little deeper. But you can consider like investing into tools like a Lightbox or GemLoop. A Lightbox is essentially just like a big white box that has light going into it. So it's just a clean background if you're taking pictures of specific items. Like I mentioned before, you wouldn't want all your images in these Lightbox either because that's boring, but it is something good that, if you want to add photos on the site or you just want to mix it up on social media as well. And then for actual content ideas, this is kind of pretty much what we're going to be addressing the rest of the time during my slides here. But with content ideas, it's actually pretty easy once you get the hang of it to come up with almost unlimited ideas. First things that just kind of general ideas, you can talk about, what is unique about your store, product selection. These are some things you can talk about. Like Christy mentioned earlier, you're not really trying to sell. You're supposed to be social on social media. So it's not like telling people, hey, we have 10% off right now and just doing that all the time, or talking about, hey, these rings are on sale right now. Instead, what it should be is like, we specialize in making these custom rings, and you'll, either make a video or a picture showing them exactly how you do it, just kind of giving insights about your store as a whole, things they don't usually get to see with companies. And like Christy mentioned earlier, you want to have a mix of things, aspirational and accessible types of content. You can showcase some statement pieces. Like I said, you're still not trying to sell all the time, but it's still good to kind of mix in pieces that you do carry here and there. You can also incorporate, customer stories or testimonials, or UGC, which is user-generated content. So, some examples of doing this type of stuff is if a customer gets engaged, you could reshare, their engagement photos, and people love that. They like seeing that these companies are sharing their photos. They might even share what you just shared back out to their followers and things like that, because they're excited to see that, a brand they worked with shared their piece of content. The thing I always push and push and push across everyone is educating your audience. These don't even have to be hard. What I always tell everyone is, you got to remember that these customers are not jewelers. They're not certified. They don't know the 101s of jewelry. So having videos about cut, having videos about clarity, sizes of rings, how to resize rings, how strong are certain types of gems and things like that. All these that are really easy and pretty basic to you, majority of us don't know that. So those are awesome things you can share. You can create those videos so easily, and there's hundreds and hundreds of ideas you probably could come up with in, a day. And then, as I mentioned earlier, bring jewelry to life by showing a product on hand or wrist, if it's video format or if it's in an actual image. And then we're going to actually now go over how to get the ideas for social media content. I know I did give a couple there, but there's ways to actually do a little bit of research to come up with these ideas if you're stumped. This is the way I always do it. If I can't come up with something, I'm going to show you how we go about doing that. So let me switch over my screen here and show you. I'm just going to show you a little bit of example of how we would go about coming up with ideas, specifically on TikTok. Reason why I'm showing TikTok here is, one, is a trending platform, and two, on top of it, is that you're able to access it on desktop. So it'll be easier for me to share here. So what I did is, I am looking on TikTok on desktop. So it's going to be a little bit different than when you guys are doing it on your phone, or most people do it on their phone. But you'll just want to go up to where the search bar is and just type in some sort of, kind of general keyword, like just typing in the word engagement rings. That's usually a great starting place for most people. So what we'll see is a whole bunch of different videos come up, and what you'll see is, you'll also notice that you'll see how many views each of these are getting. So what I like to do is, I like to look through these videos that are getting lots and lots of views and engagement, and I'll write down these different types of ideas, and I'll either you know, honestly, you can copy a lot of them like kind of word for word, or just put your own spin on it. It's pretty simple to do that. Usually once I find people that are consistently getting a lot of views, they're not just, they had, you know, one video that blew up, I'll usually follow them, just so I can kind of keep seeing their posts, see what they're doing, to kind of learn from what they're doing and what is making them successful. So, you know, on here, we'll see this first video right here, engagement rings for minimalists. This had over 1 million views. This is easily something every single one of you guys could make in the next hour if you really wanted to. So pretty easy. You'll see they're just showing different rings, some numbers on there. They do have a sound, but I'm not turning it on since we are kind of talking in here on the webinar. But that is a good example there. I'll just click through a couple more here while we're on here, but look how easy a lot of these are. You know, she's just showing a ring on her hand. These are kind of videos I always suggest as well. You know, if you're willing to get in front of the camera and actually show your face, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to grow much faster than just showing rings, because people will start to build a connection with you. So as Anthony mentioned at the beginning, so when I started TikTok, I had 0 followers whatsoever, and in about 6 months, I had 18,000 views. All of my videos were similar to like what this girl's doing, but specifically to marketing. So I was just talking about tools to use. I was talking about, you know, how to get more views on social media. I was talking about SEO, you know, how to rank higher in Google and things like that. And, you know, I just created one of those a day essentially. And, you know, within 6 months, I had almost up to 18,000 followers. I think I'm at like, you know, 17.8 or something like that. But so that is an easy way just to, you know, get some good inspiration. There's tons and tons on here. You can just kind of keep on scrolling. You know, look, they're just showing pair engagement rings. Stop buying diamond rings. That guy's saying he's probably going to have some hot take on there. You know, sometimes controversial things can drum up more engagement as well. But you can see majority of these are nothing special. It's really something you could do with your iPhone in just a few minutes. So I'll hop back over the slides here. I have a few more things to go over while we're on this. So what I'm going to show here next is going to be some more content examples. So this first one here I'm going to show, this is a guy on TikTok. You can see all he's doing is essentially videos like this. He's just talking in front of the camera, you know, giving his expert opinion on things, his favorite types of cuts, his favorite types of stones, all that types of stuff. Kind of like what I was talking about at the beginning, where they're just like 101 type videos, very basic things that you guys probably know like the back of your hand. But like I said, most people don't know it. So he is doing this. And what he's doing also that's great is he's actually answering a lot of their questions. When people answer or ask a question in the comments, he'll typically take those questions and just make it right into a video for them. So he's really having these great conversations with people. And this guy, I mean, he has, I forgot the exact number, but I don't know, 170,000 followers or something. And this is as advanced as the videos get.
Also, one thing to note here that I think is important too is like this is a great example of taking a type of trending content and maybe trying it out for yourself. So this format where he's kind of talking over a video is called green screen, and so you can easily find these features within your TikTok or within your Reels functionality on Instagram. So say you're scrolling, you go to the Discover page, you're like, I want to get some inspiration, and you see that a lot of the high-ranking videos are using this feature. Maybe that's something you want to test for yourself, because you can see that actually people are really engaging with this type of format. And you already have a framework to work with based on all of the examples that you have on the Discover page. So kind of keeping your ear on like what those trends are and trying just, you know, not being scared to try them yourselves is a great way to kind of mix up your strategy and really create a good variation of content.
Yeah, exactly. And just kind of piggybacking off of that, like I mentioned earlier, first videos are not going to be perfect, and you just got to be fine with it, and you'll learn and get better and better. This guy isn't even the most charismatic person or best looking person or whatever it is, and he's still absolutely killing it online. So, if this guy can do it, you guys can do it as well. I'll click over to a couple more examples here. I'll just show a couple from each section. So this is one a different jewelry store is doing, and this is just showing information about rings. I mean, it's pretty simple. They don't even have a person in the actual video. It's just clips. They clipped together, added some text, added a song, and voila, it's there. This one is on Instagram Reels, so similar to TikTok. It's the kind of competitor platform, but still just another example there. Let me click on a couple more here. So this one's cool too. You guys could even really get into talking about stuff about weddings since you kind of are adjacent to it. You don't always have to stay exactly on just showing rings all the time, but they're showing, best places to get engaged, which is right in your guys' wheelhouse. So really easy. This one probably took less than 10 minutes to put together. Grab some images on Google, throw them into TikTok, add a sound and a couple, a little bit of text on the page. So a couple other ones in here. We're still kind of going over educational stuff, but this was a really good one I actually just recently found. This video I forgot had, I don't know, something like almost 1 million views or something like that. But they're just demonstrating, what happens when you put heat on different types of gems. They're showing a, natural versus a piece of glass. And what they're actually doing this is a little bit of voiceover. So they're just showing these clips and then they're recording audio after the fact, just saying, we heat up these gems to this and you'll see that, the natural one lost its color while you'll see that, glass will keep the color. So just simple things like that can really get a lot of views. It's pretty easy. This is something all you guys could do as well, even if you are camera shy. This guy just set up a tripod with his phone and just filmed him doing a little demonstration and then did a little audio after the fact. So I'll click on another one here as well. Cool, so this is another super, super easy one. They're just adding text and a bunch of clips together, really, really, really simple. This is, again, another one you guys could probably do within the next hour. And then we'll go down here. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to interject that, this educational style content, Kyle alluded to it, there's endless possibilities. And what it really does is it establishes you as an authority in the space. And so while you're not saying buy our engagement rings, you're saying things to do, things to not do and buy engagement rings. Like you're signaling that you are giving helpful content and you are the authority in the jewelry space. So when it comes time for that person to purchase, you're a trusted voice and they're going to think of you and have some social proof, basically, that you are educated, you are authoritative, and you're providing solid products to your customers. So that's why, educational content is just one of the best for this industry. And luckily, there's just a breadth of topics that can be covered because people are really interested in them. It's a really big purchasing jewelry. A lot of times, especially for engagement rings, it's a first time, hopefully the last, but people haven't had experience with this before. So they're really looking to be educated on the buying process so they don't feel like they're getting taken advantage of. They don't feel like they're lost. So if they can turn to you for that type of content, the more likely they are to think of you and they're ready to purchase.
Yeah, that's 100% right. You want to be looked at as the authority, not as someone who's just trying to sell you all the time. Because if they trust you, when it does come to time, they're going to actually go buy from you. But as you guys probably know, if every time I spoke to you, I was just trying to sell, you would just ignore me at one point. But if I was just providing value to you and helping you out, not really asking for anything in return, you'd be more likely to come to me whenever you need to buy whatever it is. So some other things as well. We'll just show some more examples. Featuring similar pieces in one shot. So these are pretty basic as well. Again, just a bunch of beautiful bracelets all next to each other, just showing them off. Super easy. That one just takes literally.
Kyle, it seems like a lot of the content you're sharing is, like you said, easy to create. And I feel like One of the pitfalls of a lot of jewelry stores is like, they don't create their own content a lot of times, and they're just reposting from one of their suppliers. So just
Yep.
wanted to point that out. Like, if you notice here, like, none of these are things that these jewelers that are getting a lot of engagement are reposting something from one of their suppliers. So it's really about that authentic content that's going to make a big difference.
Exactly.
Yeah, like luckily the
Oh.
jewelry industry has amazing, everyone's interested in jewelry, most people, or most women, I would say at least, and I'm sure a lot of men. And so you already are at an advantage that you have these beautiful pieces to show off. And it's so simple to just show them in natural light, show their natural beauty. You can literally make a 10-second clip with a nice background, good lighting, and you have your piece of content for the day. So yeah, we're just trying to encourage you to, take that leap and not be afraid, and you'll come out with some beautiful content.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind as well, like she was saying, that you can just create it and it's pretty easy to do. What I usually suggest people to do, since all you guys are so busy in the stores, just set aside one day or half a day and just create a bunch of short videos. I mean, you can get your whole month done or 2 months done, even depending on how consistent you want to post in a pretty short period of time, as long as you kind of come into that day with, a list of ideas ahead of time, and you can just kind of go down, check those off one by one, and hit all those videos, and then you're just ready to go. So that's another thing there.
Kyle, sorry to interrupt, but I did want to mention to everyone, there is a questions and answers box here. So if anyone has any questions, we'll get to them towards the end, but there is one that's, I think, relevant to what you're discussing, because and this question's been in here for a little bit. Is it appropriate or allowed to share someone else's TikTok video on our page? Someone was asking you, Kyle.
Yes and no. So the way that it would be a yes is similar to what Rachel was saying with doing like a green screen, or you can have what's called a stitch on TikTok, where essentially it like splits the screen. One side of the video is their video, the other side is whatever you're doing. So a lot of people do that to kind of reshare that content, but still add their own spin on it, and that is perfectly fine. That's awesome to do. It's just a different, way to create content. The thing you shouldn't be doing is just downloading their video and reposting it. That's not a good way to build trust or doing anything on there. If you want to repost it, just stitch it and add your 2 cents to it. That would be my opinion on that.
Good, thanks.
Yeah. Cool. But again, this is just another easy picture. This was just a picture, not even a video. Just they took a picture on their wrist there. You can see the background's pretty nice. And, this just looks like a simple iPhone photo here. We'll go down to the last one in this section here. Another one, just another image, just showing similar types of pieces on the hands, so people can get an idea of what the difference between these different cuts and looks and all that type of stuff is. Some other ones to go through as well, comparing engagement ring styles, cuts, and sizes. This is another good type of content you can kind of put together. Look how easy this is again. I mean, they tried to get fancy here with the little transition where it looks like it just stays in the same spot and the ring switches out. You don't even have to be that crazy if you want, but they're just showing what it looks like on the hand, the difference between the different types of rings and cuts. I'll just show a couple of these because they're all going to be pretty similar on these ones, but you'll see here, they're just showing again, size of diamond. I'm talking about the carats. Pretty easy. We'll go to the next section since all those are going to be pretty similar to those two that I just showed. But lastly in here, we have engagement stories. This is a pretty common type of content that gets a lot of interactions. So this is just posting when your customers post their engagement photos. Usually I would kind of ask them if you're just going to take it and post it directly on your feed. But if you want to like reshare it on your story, that's usually perfectly fine, and they're probably all for that. But again, people like seeing people being happy, it kind of reflects onto them, and also, they can check out what that ring they got from you actually is. This one here is a carousel post, so they have a bunch of different photos of the engagement, and it's pretty simple and easy. Yeah, these photos are really nice and clean. You can see these people getting engaged at a professional photographer, but you don't even need to have ones with professional photographer. Even if someone took it of their engagement on their phone, that is great. It just adds more authenticity to what you're posting.
And this type of content also adds something that we call social proof. So when your audience, maybe someone that hasn't purchased with you already but is thinking about it, sees real life people that have purchased from you and are happy with their experience and are sharing it with you, that just creates trust in your business and kind of lets them think, oh, I could be really happy with my purchase, or if I get engaged with a ring from, XYZ jeweler. So that's, not only is everyone love to hear engagement stories and see beautiful photos all over Italy, but it also helps kind of create that subtle social proof for your business that you have happy customers.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that as well, as it's even better social proof than just posting a testimonial, because I think a lot of people, when they see just a straight up text testimonial, one, it's a little boring looking, and two, it kind of feels a little bit of, look at me and how great I am. While this it's not about you really when you're posting it. It's about celebrating these people. So something to keep in mind as well. We'll click on these last two here and I will pass the torch. So again, all these are in these extravagant places, but nothing has to be crazy like this. They're just posting photos of their engagement. It's awesome if you could get a photo of, down on one knee, and then if they have a photo of the ring, even better, so they can see the people and then the actual ring that they got from you as well. And then the very last one on engagement ring or engagement pictures, again, on the beach here, and again, showing the ring. Really good example if you want to post these. Hopefully, if you can, get a picture of them, in the act of getting engaged, and then show the ring after. If you only have one or the other, that works too, but having both is even better.
And it's also really, sorry, Kyle, I was just going to say it's a really good way to stay in touch with your clients. Tell the fiance when they're purchasing the ring, we'd love to feature you on our page. Let's stay in touch. Hopefully after that, they're in the market for another piece of jewelry. So it's really just creating that community as well and that experience. And it's just kind of like a very subtle opportunity for you to continue that relationship and even upsell them in the future. So it's just symbiotic in all levels. So definitely encourage those. Thanks, Kyle.
No worries.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Kyle. So I'm just going to go through real quick, just one slide. And I'm just going to talk about Facebook ads real quick and a marketing automation funnel. And the reason why I talk about Facebook ads in this way, so we help jewelers and e-commerce brands with generating sales and leads, and so that's typically kind of our focus there. There are other effective ad types when you're looking at boosting your following and more engagement. I'm going to talk about both things here. So first, the most effective ads for sales and leads. And so dynamic retargeting, typically in our experience, is a little bit more effective than what we call cold traffic campaigns. Cold traffic campaigns meaning, delivering an ad to someone that you do demographic targeting. You find someone that is between a certain age group and they have certain likes and stuff like that. Typically, if you're sending that traffic to your website, the likelihood of them purchasing is very low. It's the lowest conversion rate of any kind of ad type. So, there is a world where doing those types of ads could make sense if you're getting them into your funnel. That would be more kind of an awareness campaign. But ultimately, where we see the most success is typically when somebody's starting from a search first. So they're starting from a search engine, or they're coming from an email list, because those two forms of audiences, or custom audiences, are basically someone that we already know has interest in the product or service that you're looking for. So the real big difference between search marketing and social media is intent. Somebody's typing in a keyword or something that they have interest in, like an engagement ring near me, buy an engagement ring near me, or something longer like buy a Halo engagement ring near me. Whatever that search is, they go to your website, they start clicking around, and they click on a few Halo engagement rings. Now you can show them those same engagement rings all over, within their Facebook and Instagram. And so that way you're nurturing them over the course of their buyer's journey. And so those types of ads, again, they typically have a higher conversion rate because they started with someone who was already interested in your product or service offering. And then what we do from there typically is we create lookalike audiences, people that match that group of people. So you would have a tracking pixel on your website. You track those people, again, retarget them, use that same list to mirror those people with similar browsing and buying patterns. People that are shopping on similar websites, you can find similar people. So that's essentially the Facebook sales funnel, is dynamic retargeting, lookalike audiences, also using your email list and lookalike audiences. And then another good audience to market to is what you call social engagers, people that are actively engaging with your social media. The only other kind of ad type, if you wanted to try to just generate a sale from an ad, would be just low price points, under $150 or something like that. That's one way that you may be able to generate some sales through social media, but still lower converting typically than search. But there are other effective ad types when it comes to social media, and it's just a different purpose. It's more of along the lines of engagement, building followers. So you can do a follower campaign. So you can just, if you like jewelry, follow this page, or if you love engagement rings, follow our page, and then you can get people to follow your page. Also, boosting your posts on engaging posts. So like promoting a post that is getting a lot of engagement is another way that you can have some success, or at least you would measure that based on visibility and engagement when you're doing those types of ads, not sales. So there is a world where obviously all that is very important. Another ad type that we see success with is promoting a Facebook event. So if you do in-store events, you can create a Facebook event, and then you can boost that Facebook event to get more RSVPs for those kind of for your events. And those are the main ad types that I just wanted to review with you. If you're looking to really expand on your social media, it's not just all about just spending money on, there's people that come to us, hey, I spent, $1,000 on Facebook ads, but I didn't get any results. You just have to, one, know what to measure, and two, know the different ad types that are going to be most effective for actually generating sales. So just wanted to put that out there. I think, Rachel, you're going to be sharing the next slide. So I'll go ahead and change the presenter back over to you.
One other thing, this section as well. I just wanted to also chime in and say about the Facebook ads and that type of stuff. When you are trying to sell online, having this social media presence really helps, because I mentioned earlier, it builds that social proof. That's how people like James Allen and Jared's and all those guys can sell such high ticket items online, is they have that name, they have that social proof already. So what you guys got to do, if you're really trying to move towards, selling online even more rather than brick and mortar, is build up that social proof. It'll help the conversion rates a little bit more. And like Anthony said, warmer audiences are going to convert even higher as well. So just something to chime in there.
Thanks, Kyle.
Well, thank you, Kyle. All right, so really just rounding out the presentation, we just wanted to recap basically the 3 C's, the 3 kind of keys to success that we covered during this presentation. So consistency, community, and content. So as we've kind of been underscoring throughout this entire presentation, social media really is not just a set it and forget it strategy. You really have to be constantly evolving your strategy based on what works for you, what's working for your audience, and what social media platforms are trending towards and are promoting to really ensure success. And so just to kind of recap a few of these points, consistency. So obviously consistent posting we talked about, and really kind of being setting up a process there. But I think something that, you know, kind of came out throughout the entire presentation is just being consistent in general is one of the crucial things for success on social media. So setting a time each week to browse on social media, see what types of content is trending, take an hour, write down some content ideas that you want to create. Then, you know, maybe later in the week, you set an hour to shoot all of your content. So you already have all your ideas. Maybe you take 20 minutes before that and kind of pull out the pieces, and then you set some time to really shoot the content. So having this consistent process will help you kind of feed the monster of social media and keep that consistent posting without becoming overwhelming and without feeling like you have to do it every day and you don't have enough time. So really being consistent about the process and making sure that you are getting in front of your audience with relevant content is key. The second, community. So really making sure that you are engaging with your community and it's not just a one-way street. And so, you know, Kyle had a great example of this earlier. One of the examples we showed on TikTok, the person that was featured in the video was answering questions from his community. So he was taking a look at the type of engagement happening on his post and then answering those back with his content. So having this evolution or this like back and forth with your audience and starting out by really asking your audience to engage, asking, you could even post a story asking what types of content they like to see, or do you like this content versus that content? Really creating a rapport is super important to kind of encourage that engagement and that two-way street, that social aspect of social media. And then the last and arguably the most important is content. So really having engaging content is key. We want to make sure that we are either educating our audience, we are inspiring our audience, or we are adding value to our audience, or all of the above. So it's really not about just pushing out content just to be there. It's really about the way you're going to gain followers and have engagement on your posts is creating something that your audience wants to see and will add value to their lives. And so I think, you know, being in the jewelry space, it's, you know, you guys kind of have a leg up. You know, jewelry is inspiring. It's beautiful. There's so much to learn about it. There's a lot of interesting things happening behind the scenes with your business. So really the possibilities are endless in terms of content. The key here is really just not being afraid, really just getting started. And I think it's like really like exercising. The more you do it, the better you'll become, the more you'll like it, and the more engaging your content will be.
Yeah, and just piggybacking off of your content will get better. My first couple of videos were awful, but after about 10 videos, you get the hang of it, you get comfortable, where to type stuff, how to adjust things, how to talk in front of a camera, because it is really weird at first, but once you get over the hump, it's no problem at all. Now I can go in and just make videos whenever in way shorter time as well, because when you get better at it, you can do it way quicker as well. So the first couple times might take you much longer, but once you get the hang of it, you know, you'll cut that time in half.
Yeah, so the key there is really just take action, just try it and see where it leads you. Create a process that helps you, you know, continually create content. And ultimately, if you stick to these best practices that we shared in this webinar and you really just stick to it and stick at it, you will start to see growth and engagement. And so, you know, we as a digital agency have realized that a lot of clients, even with all of this information and best practices, a lot of times there still isn't the bandwidth to do this as a part of your business, and that's okay. You know, I think it's always better when the content is created by the actual business or someone in that business, because it's always the most authentic. You know your products the best. You know your audience the best. But we have restructured some of our packages. You know, if you do need help with social media, we, you know, I'll just share them quickly just so you guys can take a look. But we have restructured our packages in a way that hits all of these best practices, making sure there's consistent posting like with our lowest tier, and then moving up to some of these other strategies like engaging with your audience. And eventually our end goal will be to offer a content creation package as well, which we're working on, because we know it's there's definitely an appetite for it. We also have some new add-ons if you wanted to kind of get into some of these other platforms like TikTok or Pinterest. You want to set up your social shopping. So basically, we are trying to evolve our services with the platforms as well. For us, our strategy is instead of forget it either. We want to make sure that we're practicing what we preach basically, and offering our potential partners something that's really hitting on the best practices within the market, and really something that's going to show results and provide results, because that's what we really want to see, the success of all of your businesses. So that's really it. If you are interested in working with us on a social package, definitely reach out to us. But that really wasn't the point of this website. Inspiration and really encouragement, educate and provide for you to try it out on your own, and really just kind of underscore that it just takes practice, and it takes kind of just getting out there and doing it and sticking with it to see success.
Yeah.
So thank you guys, and I think we can open it up. If we have a few minutes left, open it up to any questions.
Yeah, it looks like there's a couple questions that already came in. One of them from, let's see, Kaylee, are hashtags worth it? If so, how do you know which ones will be effective? Kyle or Rachel, you want to take
So
that?
I can answer this question.
Whoever wants, Rachel, you can go ahead.
Okay, I can start, and then Kyle, obviously, feel free to chime in. So basically, hashtags, they are still somewhat relevant. I think, we are moving away from the strategy of just stuffing tons of hashtags into each post. I think what you want to do is pick maybe 5 to 7 super relevant hashtags that are relevant to that post and include them. So your strategy should really evolve with each post. But what we're seeing, the biggest trend in terms of discoverability on social media is actually the incorporation of SEO into social media. And so now the biggest way to kind of ensure discoverability, even more so than hashtags now, is using keywords in your captions that make your content discoverable. So within the caption, you want to include keywords that you think that people would be searching to see this type of content. So for example, if you're creating a video on how to buy engagement rings, that's of course you want to include that keyword in the post, but making sure that there are keywords in your caption that are relevant to that post, and phrases that you think people would search are super important. So applying those SEO principles to social media and including those in those captions are going to be more effective than hashtags.
Yeah, and she's 100% right. And this is mostly targeted towards TikTok and Instagram Reels than anything else. Like Facebook, it is kind of a dying platform right now, and that's really not going to help you on there. But TikTok and Instagram Reels, those tips 100% can help out.
And so just like kind of a quick takeaway, what you can do is have even you can look at your Google Analytics, you can see your top search terms, and you can figure out a way to incorporate those into relevant posts and kind of make it an ongoing practice to integrate those into your caption strategy.
Vanessa asked, I've noticed that if you're set up as a business account on Instagram or TikTok, you do not have access to the trends. For example, Anti-Hero from Taylor Swift is not available to business accounts. Any feedback there, Kyle?
Those are going to vary also depending on countries you're in as well. So all the sounds aren't going to always be available to anyone, but you still want the business account, especially if you are a jeweler, because that will give you access to Facebook shopping and Instagram shopping so that you can tag your products within a lot of these posts as well. So they can click and just go directly to your site or buy directly in app. So something to keep in mind as well, pros and cons with everything.
So also I'm going to share a link. There are tools that you can use to find trending topics and audio, and you can filter for ones that businesses can use as well. I don't know if I can send the chat to the whole group, Anthony. I don't know. Did you see that link that I just sent through? Maybe share with everyone.
Okay, you just have to choose all and type
I just don't see that
or what
for
you
some
can do
reason
is
on my.
put it in the questions and answers. But while you're working on that, we will answer. There is a couple other questions here. So Jean asked about influencer marketing.
Yeah, so I mean, we would definitely encourage influencer marketing. I think it's a great way to not only create additional content, it's a great way to build social proof. It's a great way to reach new audiences. You know, people that are following influencers may not necessarily be the audience that you're following, but I would say that the biggest kind of key there is making sure that not only do you have a way to negotiate with influencers and understand if the value that what you're paying for or what you're providing to them in exchange for their content and their posts is going to bring you value, and making sure you have a system in place to measure you know, if their content is performing. So you know, influencers can just be a bit tricky because it's not like a Facebook ad where you set it and you have like all kinds of reporting, but there are ways to set processes in place to, and you know, if you guys are interested in that, I'm happy to have a follow-up call with anybody and talk through that a bit more because it's a little bit of an intricate thing and I want to make sure we get to the rest of the questions.
Yeah, and one other thing just to piggyback off of that as well is you got to look at these influencers, and a lot of time it might be better to go after what are called micro influencers, so really small local influencers in your area, even if they only have like 1,000 or 2,000, you know, maybe under 10,000 followers. Those could be more relevant to you than going after someone who has over 100 or 200,000 followers, because maybe they're not directly in your area and maybe their followers are all over the place. So something to keep in mind as well.
Yep. So Mari asks, we find it challenging to get good quality content. We feel that the content that we shoot ourselves with an iPhone damages us as a brand. What is your opinion on this?
I would say that you know, if you follow the best practices in terms of lighting and in terms of staging, they're, you know, and making sure you're presenting the products in a beautiful way. I think there's a lot of examples in the presentation, you know, the ones that are just of beautiful bracelets on a wrist, it's in front of flowers, and it just has really good lighting. So it's as simple as that. So, you know, don't bite off more than you can chew. If you think that, you know, it's going to damage your brand, if you try to go crazy staging something, then just really stick to something super simple. Get a white background, good lighting, and show several different types of engagement rings. So what I would suggest is, you know, browsing different accounts, getting ideas of things that you think are feasible for you and sticking with that until you're able to kind of get a little bit more creative.
Yeah, and I would say it all depends on, I guess, the level of your brand as well. I mean, if you're a jewelry store, I mean, you know, most local jewelry stores, people want something organic, authentic. You know, they're not looking for some, you know, it's not like, you know, Tacori or Rolex or whoever that has like this kind of, you know, their brand is very elevated as opposed to a jewelry store. Like, again, people want, like, don't want to feel like you're, you know, they want you to be more accessible, essentially. Another question here from Kaylee, tips on getting verified. Rolex pushes this, but we never get approved. We've added news articles, etc., as proof of notability.
Yeah,
I personally,
I was about to say the same thing. You want to get news articles and write up some big sites if possible.
Rachel?
yeah, I think building authority, but I have heard a lot of mixed reviews about verification, and I think it's one of, unfortunately, I wish I had a better answer for you, but it's one of those things with Facebook where it's just like a keep trying kind of thing, and you have to be a little bit relentless, unfortunately. So keep doing what you're doing, and as Kyle mentioned, trying to get some more features and build up that authority.
Mm-hmm. So, Richard asked, do you noticeably different trends in watches versus jewelry, or the general marketing principles fairly the same? That'd probably be a question for you, Rachel.
Yeah, I would say they're fairly the same. I mean, I think that both categories have a ton of opportunity for educational content. You know, where diamonds, you can educate about the clarity and the quality. Watches, you can talk about the movement. You can talk about, like, the materials. And so I think that a lot of the principles are the same. I think a lot of people also just love to look at beautiful watches. I think there's a lot of storytelling opportunity behind watches because they are heirloom pieces. So maybe rather than engagement photos, it's more about a gifting experience or, you know, a memory with the watch or how it's passed through generations. So overall principles that kind of some of the history a bit more.
All right, and then Jamie asked, can you send that link that Rachel was
I think
talking?
you're on mute.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I thought you were on mute for a second, but
Oh,
just, yeah.
yeah, I think my internet's having an issue, but Jamie asked if you could send that link Rachel was talking about, trending audio, but I'll put it in the chat here right now.
Thanks, Anthony. I just, sorry, I don't, maybe it's because my first time using this platform, but
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I put that in there. Doesn't look like there's any other questions coming in, so yeah, actually, there's one more question. Kaylee says, a bit of a silly question. The view shop button disappeared from our profile bio area. I do not know how to get this back.
That is, I was going to say, I think that's probably, maybe you accidentally converted your Instagram account back over to a personal account. There's a chance of that, or it disconnected from the shopping feed in some way. Don't know how, but Facebook is always finicky, so you got to check that stuff.
Yeah, pretty regularly. All right, so we'll just give it about another minute if anyone has any other questions. Otherwise, we'll end this. We've gone a little bit over. All right, nothing coming in. All right, thanks everyone for joining our webinar today. It's been a pleasure providing this information, and thank you, Rachel, Christy, Kyle. Really great information. If you'd like to join our webinars, again, we do these the second Thursday of every month for Edge. We also do other webinars throughout the month, but you can just go to gemfind.com and see our webinars page to get insight as far as when those are coming up. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Feel free to reach out to any of us at the email sales@gemfind.com, or you can email me and I can get you in touch with anybody. Anthony, ANTHONY @gemfind.com. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
thanks everyone. Take care.